All right, here we are. We're starting episode 2 of Indices because episode 1 didn't work out all that well. Okay, so an indices is just plural of index. And an index is a number that we use to show us the relative value of something relative to its peers. So index is a number designed to show a relative value okay, to make those numbers seem a little bit simpler. So here's one called the Consumer Price Index. Okay, so the Consumer Price Index is basically the price of a basket of goods calculated back in 1992 and then converted to a value of 100. So they took all the things that consumers buy. So shelter, clothing, food, cigarettes, and they tried to come up with a single value for it. So for example, let's say in 1992, the basket costs, let's say it costs $500 in 1 month, just for the sake of argument, okay? What we do actually is we convert that to an index value of 100. Okay, so we say 1992 consumer price index is 100. That means that we go out and buy that basket of goods. It costs $500. Well, we say that's 100. In 1993, let's say the basket costs $550. What is the new index going to be? Anybody out in YouTube land there know?
50%?
50%. That's close. You're adding it, yeah. As a percent? It's not actually 50%.
110%.
Yes, actually. The index would have a value of 110. Okay, it's gone up by 10% of 500. So all at once, our consumer price index would be 110 relative to that one value of the 1992 basket of goods of 100. Okay, and if you look at the relative change in the consumer price index, if you go way back, they actually have a calculator, and you can see what it cost in 1903 or something like that. The consumer price index has increased by like 2,000%. So if you have grandparents or something, they'll always tell you, oh yeah, we could get a full meal for a quarter. And that's because the consumer price index was so low back then. And my grandpa always thought that was great, except that a quarter was a whole day's worth of wages. And so in reality, it wasn't all that cheap. So we have to compare those two indexes. Now there's a second one, and that we'll go over, and that is the body mass index, or the BMI. So the body mass index, the actual intention is to try and determine how much of your weight is in adipose tissue versus how much of your weight is in all the other body tissues combined. So bone, muscle, brain, all that sort of stuff. So you actually calculate the body mass index by taking your mass in kilograms and dividing it by your height in meters. In meters squared. So that's how you calculate your body mass index. This is helpful because I might be, say I'm like 50 kilograms heavier than you, but I'm taller than you. So that doesn't really tell you relative to each other how much more overweight I might be or underweight, okay? But by dividing these two, so in other words, coming up with a formula for my body mass index, I'm going to correct for the fact that as you get taller, you automatically get more massive. So the body mass index should be somewhere between 18.5 and 25 to be considered sort of a healthy body mass index, okay? And as I've alluded to before, I might be slightly over 25 because I'm a lot more muscular than the average person in the abdominal area, so I might be a little over 25, but I figure that's probably still healthy. There are other ways of calculating or constructing indexes, but the whole idea is it gives you a relative view of what the value of something is on that scale. And that's indexes.